Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Sobriety University podcast. Man, it's been a few weeks since we had a show, and really excited for this one, man. If you can look to the left of me, we have Mr. Jacked House himself in the studio, Zachary Aldrichh. Welcome, brother. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. So today, guys, it's going to be a little bit of a different stream, not so much addiction focused, but really fitness focused. And for any of you guys that have done coaching with me, or you've watched some of my content, I really preach fitness, and I think it's a really important thing for recovery itself, and then also just for living a happy, holistic lifestyle. A lot of people, they get sober, and I don't know if you have any experience with sobriety or whatnot, but you get sober, and a lot of people, they kind of just stop there. They're like, they just get sober, and you go to these support group meetings, and everyone's overweight. Just like,
right.
I'm like, oh, okay, like I don't want to live that way. I want to be healthy and active and in my best self. It looks like I'm the opposite of you. I'm the ectomorph, or I'm an endomorph. So I'm a hard gainer. You look like you're the opposite. Am I right on that?
Right. Yes. Correct.
Yes. Okay. So if you were to stop lifting, you'd get fat.
No. So
no. Okay.
Yeah, because before I lifted, I was a skinnier guy, so I had a hard time getting fat.
Oh, really? Okay. So you and I are the same. Okay. Did I get that right then? Is it ectomorph is the one that's skinny and then has a hard time getting big?
I believe so. I think I'm more of a mix of an ecto and meso.
Oh, okay.
A weird mix, because it's more of a hybrid type, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So anyway, guys, yeah, that's a little, we'll dive more into what that means, but really appreciate you coming on, man. And I'm really excited to hear your story and why fitness is so important to you. So why don't you just take us away? Like, what got you into fitness and your journey?
Well, definitely. So when I first got into fitness, the roots started when I was about 14, 15. So I used to run a lot. I used to run about 5-8 miles a day. So I would push myself physically and mentally by constantly going on runs. And so I learned intensity very early on, and I've always done athletics and stuff, but running was the number one thing. And then once I was towards the end of my high school year, I got into lifting weights. So I was 17 going on 18, and I wanted to get bigger because I just was tired of looking skinny. Wanted to put some size on. You know what I'm saying? So when I first stepped into the gym, I was a typical dude that only did cardio and ab movements. So it was a step in the right direction. And then I remember I got an Arnold Schwarzenegger blueprint. So training 6 days a week, full intensity weights. But what that taught me was how to lift weights. So the 3 months into lifting weights, I absolutely loved it because mentally, I was still able to push myself, and physically, but it was different than running because you're exhausting your muscles this time. You're breaking down your muscles. And I fell in love with the process because at the end of the day, you can look physically good, but I do it for the mental aspect. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, sure.
Because you go in a different area. And after a year, after like the first few months, I fell in love with it, and it pretty much went from there.
I have a question. Like, what I think a lot of people start off with that vanity metric, like want to look sexy. When did that switch for you on your journey where you're like, hey, this is more about me feeling good than looking like a Greek god?
Yeah. So at the time, I was already in a high school relationship. So it was never to impress other people. It was more on, if that makes sense, it was more on, I didn't like, it was for, I know this sounds cliche, but it was more for like, I want to see how far I can push for myself. Nice. And really just put like, obviously look better, but see what I can do and how I can change. So
okay, cool. I respect that. Yeah, because I still fight with that, man. I was like, God, I like having a six pack. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
And so you were a runner too. Did you do cross country and track?
So that's the funny thing. I did track, but I didn't do any cross country. I didn't fully apply myself. I did more of sprinting. That's about it. So,
but you ran 5 to 8 miles a day.
I just didn't apply myself in the sport realm of things because it was so personal. I just didn't want to do it for any sports or academic reasons.
Okay. Did you ever like time yourself for a mile or 5K or anything just for your own personal?
Oh no, man! I didn't time myself. It was recreational, so it's a recreational thing. I just did it because I wanted to see what I could do.
This guy's as crazy as a drug addict, guys. People do recreational drugs. He does a recreational 8-mile runs. That's I don't know which is crazier, man.
Right? No, that was my drug. That was my drug.
That was your drug. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, I can relate
100%.
to that because I did cross country and track, and we'd run the 5 8-mile days.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy. And I think once, like, I always did weights as well. Like freshman year, I started lifting, and I was like, I could never keep muscle because I was running all the time. So it was a bit, as soon as I got out of high school and started focusing on lifting only, that's when I noticed a huge change. And and man, like, dude, we were all so freaking skinny, bro. Jesus
right.
And my best friend, he was like more like your size, like he played football, and he was just like, I would lift with him, but he would always just give a shit. I'm like, dude, we're fit. And he's like, dude, you guys are like fucking like twigs. I'm like, no, dude, no. And
no, bro.
Yeah, no, we're huge like you. And he's like, no.
Right.
So
right.
Right. So yeah, continue forward. So you really got into it because of the mental health aspect. How did that immediately or maybe long-term start improving the way you thought, the way you felt, etc.?
Yeah. So over time, it taught me that if I put in consistent effort and I go as hard as I can, that it's not instant gratification, that great things take time. So it taught me delayed gratification. So not instant gratification. And yeah, what were you gonna say?
No. Keep going.
And so at an early age of because I'm only 22 now, but at age 17, that taught me quite a bit of if I just stay consistent and very patient, but still put in the work, you'll get it. It's just a matter of time. So, and overall, it shapes me into a very calm, patient person. And that's I pride myself in that. Of course, you look good. That's one of the results. But like I said, I go into it for making my mind sharper, for sure.
Okay. Wow, dude, that's so cool to hear that all those effects that came from it.
Yeah.
From it, if you know anyone with addiction, you know that they can be pretty impatient people. That's been my biggest probably thing I've had to work on. Every time I'm on a call with my mentor, like one of my mentors, literally we finish a call, we'll be talking for an hour, and he just goes, "Yeah, it sounds like patience again." It's like,
no, it's a real thing.
It is, yeah.
I haven't dealt with I wouldn't say substance abuse addiction, but I've had like my mother, I witnessed her with alcoholism, and I had family members that had alcohol and drug problems. So it pushed me away from that, but I do have an addictive personality, which is why I do bodybuilding. One of the reasons why I stick with it. But I understand the mental side and the mental battle of addiction. I've seen it firsthand. I've struggled with stuff, but it wasn't, like I said, it was never substances, if that makes sense.
Okay. Definitely. And we're going to dive into that a little bit. So for the audience, like you do bodybuilding, Zach does bodybuilding. And I'm very, very, very curious to dive into that a little bit later in the show, because I think that is known to have a host of addiction problems, like with the food. I mean, I'm a big, I go to the food addiction programs because I as well have I struggle with the sugar and stuff. So I can imagine where, you have to restrict yourself for months or weeks or whatever. Like, God, that's gotta be freaking another world.
At one point when I first started bulking, I ended up having a little eating disorder for a while. Like I would bulk unethically, which means I would just eat whatever I wanted. So I ended up having a serious binging issue for about a year straight. So that was my addiction. I had a food addiction for a while. It was rough.
Well, you came to the right channel. I guess we're going to talk about addiction today.
Right.
Food addiction has to be the most common addiction in the world. Like everyone I know has some sort of dysfunctional relationship with food. And I mean, it's just so hard. It's just, God, to be perfect with food, I don't think is possible. Like, because you're miserable and all that.
It's a mental battle, man. Especially when you get into bodybuilding, it's one extreme to the other. But the one thing I will say is, if you can learn, or when you learn discipline and strong willpower, you can fight through that. But I believe most people like myself, you have to go through a moment of weakness to find that strength and willpower. I truly believe in that. Like most people, I've had friends that, after their first show, they binged so hard for almost a year straight, and then they finally got back on track. But that taught them that taught them a very important lesson. So I think that with addiction in general, some people just have to go through it to learn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. It's such a great message there. It's like anyone who's gotten through addiction, and I'll speak for myself. Like it's like I wouldn't be the person I was today if I hadn't gone through that. Even the moment it seemed like this is freaking hell. 100%. I'm curious, what was your weak point or your weak moment where you're just like, where that kind of shifted you out of maybe that addictive cycle?
So when I realized I had a problem with food, whenever I was like sad, angry, or mad, I started just eating more food on top of what I was already eating. And what the problem was is I started to look and feel really unhealthy. Like I looked like a power lifter, but I didn't feel like one. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel like I was a bodybuilder. I felt like I was starting to become overweight instead of having muscle definition. And what woke me up to that was like I used to work at doing pizza, so I used to just only eat pizza at that point. So it was bad, man. It was
dangerous.
Yeah, and then I just got to a point where I was like, why am I eating this? I'm not hungry. I don't want it. So why? And then I had to step back for a second, and that's when I realized that was like the start of a vicious cycle.
Okay. Wow, man. I'm so excited to get into that. Food addiction is so powerful. Yeah. Secondly, it's crazy that you're 22. You're just a baby. I call you out for that.
Yeah, right. For sure.
Youngster. Yeah. And so it's very inspiring. It's so cool that you're doing so well at such a young age, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I think I'm sure you can relate, many of your classmates, probably many of your peers are still in that party mode. They're just, out for the moment.
Yes.
And I got clean at 22 and really started being disciplined and honing my life at that age. And for a long time, I felt very like ashamed of it. I'm like, all my friends are out, like, drinking and partying still. How did you work through that for yourself? Like, the fear of missing out, basically.
So, like I said, from an early age, like going into middle school and elementary school, I actually, I was witnessing my parents go through addiction issues. So the household was a mess. I grew up going back and forth between parents. So from an early age, I closed myself off, if that makes sense. So I was that quiet kid at school for a while, and I never got invited to parties. I never was involved in the party scene. So, and I saw what drugs and alcohol did to people on the negative side. So I never saw the positives of it ever. So I only saw how it broke families and it broke people's lives. So I was like, why would I ever want to do that? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I never truly had fear of missing out, because I saw the negative impacts of it.
What a blessing in disguise, man.
Yes, I mean, 100%.
Did you ever have moments where you wished you could have been a part of that?
Yes and no. A year ago, when I was 21, that's when the high school relationship ended, and I went from that relationship into another one. And I tried partying. I went to one party, but I went to that party and I had fun. But then I realized, like, it wasn't like, I was like, that's what I was missing out on. I didn't understand it. So I've only been to one party, and I didn't like it. Like, it wasn't It wasn't my thing.
You are an interesting case, my friend. Like, I think you're the only person I'm ever gonna meet that says I went to one party ever.
Yeah, just one.
Oh my God. Now I'm the same as you, where like we went to a nightclub last night, like I told you, and I was there for like maybe half hour, 45 minutes. I brought one of my friends, and she doesn't drink either. So after, like, I'm just like, hey, let's go get food. Like, it's just not my scene as well.
Right.
We were joking. It's like, people go there. It's like, to fuck. It's like,
yeah, no, seriously. That's what
Hey,
it
you wanna
is.
fuck? Pretty much, right?
Right.
And uh, I think I can just kind of tell by like just knowing you for this few minutes here that like you're more like you like the relationship building, you like to get to know people. That kind of is that kind of your avenue
Yes,
forward.
yes.
Yeah.
I like more building relationships and having long-term goals instead of
Nice.
short-term. I always
Nice.
view things long-term for sure.
Okay. Wow. My God, Zach, you are an impressive specimen, my friend.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I love that mindset. Like it's so powerful because I've been working on this for so long. So to hear that
Mhm.
you just kind of that's just how you live, I really respect it. And
Yeah,
I'm very excited to hear more about it and stuff. So
of
let's
course.
go a little bit into the bodybuilding. So
Okay.
what got you into bodybuilding and just looking fucking shredded?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, man.
so it's the cliche story of I never knew what bodybuilding looked like. So when I looked up on YouTube how to get a six-pack, Arnold Schwarzenegger popped up. So I
Okay.
saw all the golden era guys, and I thought that's what bodybuilding was. So I studied them. I watched Pumping Iron. I read all the books, nutrition of old 70s bodybuilders, and I fell down
Okay.
that rabbit hole. And then I saw a guy like Jay Cutler in the Mass Monsters. I
Okay.
was like, that's interesting. And then I just fell in love with it, man. Like I lived the lifestyle, and I started living the lifestyle, and I was like, I think I want to do this just because of the mental side of things. Like
Okay.
I fell in love with it.
So mental side, you mean that like the training, the
Mhm.
committing yourself to a process.
The grind, yes.
Can you walk us through what that looks like? Like what's a start to finish bodybuilding prep to show?
Okay, so when you first start off on the bodybuilding prep, you're coming from off season to a season prep, which means off season you're in a heavy surplus.
Okay.
So I was probably at like 7,000 calories, and then we started at 20 weeks out. So the first 5 weeks we kept it the same, just kept it very clean, and then 5 weeks into it, each week we slowly drop calories depending on how my weight and look is, and then you're slowly bringing the food down,
Okay.
and then you're upping the cardio, and pretty much upping the cardio.
Okay.
And then so each week is literally just becoming more and more hungry and doing
Wait,
more
like
and more
actually
cardio.
like physically hungry or like hungry for the results? Like
For me, it was both, but physically
okay.
hungry, like you definitely start to notice like 6 weeks out from a competition, if you're doing things correctly, you're struggling a bit.
Oh, wow.
But in my sense, I want to be the best and look the best that I can. So I didn't struggle with that part. I mean, yeah, of course,
Okay.
waking up in the morning kind of sucked. But as you progress in the prep, it progressively gets harder and harder. And especially 3 weeks out, you're barely sleeping. You're
Okay.
barely eating food. You're doing more and more cardio. It's very intense.
How much are you sleeping? Like what's your
Man, I was probably most time I was sleeping like 4 or 5 hours. So I wasn't sleeping much at all.
okay.
And because in a prep, it's not about, I hate to say this, but you can get away with not sleeping much. It's important to get
Okay.
sleep, but you're not building muscle. You're just trying to keep what you built in the off season. So it's all about just training hard and keeping cardio up, but you're just trying to maintain what you have while losing fat. That's the whole premise of a show prep.
And how much cardio are you doing? Like what does your cardio look like?
So for what I was doing is I would do 20 minutes fasted and then 30 minutes nighttime cardio. So I never had to do much cardio for this last prep.
Okay.
So my cardio wasn't extreme.
Man, that's so fascinating, man. I think this, what I really like about what you just shared right there is, I think a lot of people, and I'll say myself included, have dealt with the body dysmorphia. So you see the people like I saw your photos the other day, like when you're in the day of the show, and you see that on magazines, you see that in movies, and you're just like, man, I'm a loser because I don't have the discipline to get that shredded. Having you say that though, it's a lot of work, isn't it? It's not just like you can just like fast a couple of days. Like,
no, that's why I hate when people say like, why do you want to do this just to look good? I'm like, dude, it's not about looking good. If you go through a whole prep, you will understand very quickly it's not about that.
Man,
it's totally different. Like, you know what I'm saying? People think it's just like, oh, I train a little and eat some food and then I hop on stage. It's a whole
totally.
process. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what I thought. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, he's just disciplined for 3 weeks. Cool. Like, why can't I do that? And one of my buddies from Poland, he did a show at one point, and his like Facebook picture, like when I met him, he like, you know, had a little bit of a belly. Like he was obviously strong, but
Mhm.
his profile picture, he was just completely shredded, just like not an ounce of body fat. And I was just like, man, like I should, like, how do I get there? And now hearing you say that, like maybe you don't want to get there.
No, and that's why when people say they want to compete, I'm like, you really got to think about that because it's going to be a 20+ week prep in most cases, and it's like it is. If you want to look like magazine shredded, that's the reality of it.
Okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And for you guys that don't want to do the math, that's 5 months.
Yeah,
5 months. Whoa.
It's basically half a year.
Oh my God, man. Well, fucking props to you, dude. That's amazing. So you're going up to the show. I know you had a show recently. What was that like? Like, what was that experience getting on stage, having all the work pay off?
Yeah. So I did a show about a year and a half ago, and I didn't have the best coach. So I did everything 100%, but it was a bad experience. I didn't have any support. Didn't have much support. Was very lonely. So this prep was an eye opener, just a relief because I had a good coach. I had a small circle of good friends. I had so much support and love that the only thing I had to focus on was just going on the stage and presenting the best I could. So it was honestly, it felt worth it to me this time around. Okay. It felt good.
That's amazing. That's beautiful, dude.
Yes.
You know, one of the things I talk about on this channel too is in getting sober is that you get to have relationships. And what I took away from that is like the importance of how having your team, your support network, your friends made just life itself better. Like what should have been a miserable fucking experience, bro. Like, good God, you're just like, I loved it. And that's beautiful. Are these like friends that you met for bodybuilding as well, or through the gym? Like, how did you come across this social network for yourself?
Yeah. So, I met these guys, back 2 or 3 years ago when I switched to a different gym. It was more of a bodybuilding gym, and we were acquaintances. But last year around this time is when I opened myself up to the community, and we were like, it's a solo sport, but we're in this together. Like we're suffering together. So yeah. So it's but yes, they're all bodybuilders. It's all a bodybuilding network.
Okay, dude. Absolutely, man. Suffering with your homies is way better. Shout out to Jaron, man. What's up, bro? In the other room over here. Yeah. So he took me on my first bulk when I got to Mexico, and it was just so much better working out with a buddy every day.
Yes.
And just, you know, we do it really well too, where like we just don't stop. So like my rest, like my set is his rest and vice versa. So we just crank through the workout, and it's so much more enjoyable than, you know, honestly, going by yourself. And also thank you, Jaron, for the mic. I stole his really nice $800 mic. So this Jaron is sponsoring the show.
Right on.
Yeah. And I did have some bulk questions for you later in the show, but coming back to your experience, so you finished the show, and what was that like? I mean, I imagine you hit freaking the food hard, bro.
Oh man. So it was at a casino and they had a buffet, and me and my buddy were like, okay, I compete. My class went before his. So he's like, all right, man, when I'm done, we're going to go to the buffet and pig out a little bit. So we went to the buffet, and I only had 3 small plates, so I didn't go hard, but I had some good food. I definitely, nice. It was a good night. I ate plenty of some snacks and stuff, and then but yeah, I enjoyed food afterwards for sure.
Well, I wonder, you said you only had 3 plates. Is that because like, were you like actually not, since you've been in a deficit for so long, were you like actually not able to eat a ton? Like if you said like, okay, I'm just gonna pig out, like was your body like not able to do that physically?
So actually, after you're done on stage, and like I said, if you came in correctly, your appetite, you'll never be full. So that's why I was careful, because most people eat they don't stop because your body will not, because your body is just a sponge at that point. So
Okay.
I cut myself off at a certain point because I was eating so much food and I was like, this is scary because I'm not feeling full one bit.
Mm.
And I gauge it by this. If your stomach starts to hurt, stop eating. Like, stop everything. Because if you overdo it, you could potentially overfill your stomach, which is not good. So after a show, sorry, what?
Why isn't that good? Why isn't that good to overfill your stomach?
So in your muscles and in your body, you have glycogen stores. And when you step on stage, you're fully depleted. Like, everything is empty. So the second you start eating foods with high carbs, high fats, your body is going to shoot glycogen and it's going to get back in your fat stores essentially. And if you overdo it, it can actually burst open fat cells. And when that happens, you can end up in the hospital. So your body, like I said, it overloads your body in a sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, when you said that, what I was thinking of is, and this is kind of, it's going to go dark very quick, but after like the Holocaust, like people that hadn't eaten for so long, like they would eat and a lot of them died. Like,
yes.
Because they just couldn't process the food. And so that makes a lot of sense. Now, is this only if you're in that deficit? Like, because my second thought was like, okay, if all you stoners out there, like, take that advice, like, because you get the munchies and you just like, I couldn't stop eating. Is that the same for like just regular, or is it only because you were in this deficit for so long?
It was only because I'm in this deficit. So when you're in a deficit like that, it's actually way worse than the munchies. So imagine the munchies times 10. Like, yeah. And because most people that get the munchies, they're not depleted, so they can eat a bunch of food and be fine. But I the way that I can explain it is it's like you're on munchies, but way worse.
Okay.
Like you don't get satisfied. Like when you have the munchies, you can always get satisfied, right? You can always see that. Okay, that was a good meal. But when you're done with the show, you're like, I want more. I want more. I'm not satisfied.
Wow. Well, as a food addict, that sounds pretty fun. I think I might have to
right?
do a show just for that.
Man.
Man, guys, if I go back to my food addiction, it's Zach's fault. So
I'll take full credit.
So you were very disciplined with that. You enjoyed some food. What was the effect on your body after that meal? Because you were probably, I saw your photos, you were just shred house.
Yeah.
Did you instantly notice an effect after that meal? Like, whoa, like all of a sudden I'm retaining a little more water than I was the last 3 months. Like, what was that like?
I actually looked good because usually when people eat a bunch after the show and after the next few days, you actually look decent because your body's still burning through food. So I filled up with more carbs and water, but I looked good still. So I didn't spill over. So I looked in the mirror before I went to bed. And I was like, I actually look really good. And my veins were popping out and everything. So
nice.
Yeah, still look good.
Okay, cool. Good. That's dope. And then what was like maybe the following week to a month? Like, what does that look like after a show?
Yeah, so I'm just about 3 weeks post show. And what we do is it's called a rebound diet. So wherever you were at 2 weeks before the show, like 2,500 calories. We bumped my calories from 25 up to 37 now. So we're keeping it clean, but slowly adding in food. That way my frame fills back up, and then we go into the off season. So it's a very gradual step. That way we don't worry about health issues, losing my look, and you can actually build close to 10 pounds of muscle doing a rebound.
Okay.
So but you have to stay disciplined. That's where it comes in.
Okay.
So
what was your body change composition been since in this last 3 weeks? Like, have you gained some weight already? Are you starting to fill out a little bit more?
Yeah, so I weighed in at the show at 198, and now I'm at 212 pounds.
Damn, dude, fucking 212 pounds of muscle. Holy shit.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
5'11", 6 foot, like in the middle of that. Yeah.
Get out of here, bro.
Yeah.
Get out of here, man. Oh, I'm 5'11". I'm a strong 167. Like, what the? So we got to dive into and like, how do you get jacked, man? Because I've been lifting since I was 14 years old. and like hard. Like I trained with my football buddy. And I just, for the life of me, like I got back on testosterone a week ago. When I did my first bulk with Jaron, I went up in 2 months. I went from 156 to 174. So I mean, a lot of it was water, obviously. So I went back down to like 163, and now I'm coming back up to like the 167, 168 range. But we're gonna put a pause there, guys, because we need to finish up what we were just talking about with your show stuff.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to your off season? What does that look like for you?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to off season because I want to train heavy again. And so that means we got to bump the food up. So in the off season, we're just going to increase my calories. I don't know how high. It could be anywhere from 6,000 to 7,000 calories or more. Just depends. Yeah. But keep in mind, I'm a bodybuilder. So I'm trying to get the most muscle and the most mass. So I'm going to be very extreme on that. So off season is just a bunch of very heavy surplus of clean whole foods. And in the middle of that, some junk food. When I say junk food, I'm talking about like jelly or peanut butter. So it's still healthy, but it's a little more processed. And then 1 to 2 cheat meals a week. So it's very disciplined still. So we don't want to get fat. I call this getting fluffy. So it's not that you're fat, you're just holding on a bunch of water. So that's what the off season is. It's not getting fat. It's just not looking stage ready.
Okay. My cheat meal is some peanut butter. Wow.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm such a devil. Interesting. So that's really good to know. Like, do you think that's like a good, healthy, I think, approach for just somebody in general, just regular training, like that food plan?
Yeah, I always recommend if people want to maximize physique, they should approach it like a bodybuilder. I mean, that's just at the end of the day, I really think that because you're gonna get quicker results doing that, in my opinion.
Okay. Now, man, this is gonna open a can of worms here.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on? No, I'm just kidding. What are your thoughts? If we just go completely like off the rails, what are your thoughts on sugar?
I believe sugar has its purpose.
Okay.
I don't fully like sugar, but it's still needed. That's why I say it has its purpose.
Gotcha. And I asked this, so sugar has been one of my biggest, like, probably things I've been dealing with. Like, so I went off sugar for over 3 years, like complete sugar, like no agave, no honey, only monk fruit, stevia, or erythritol, complete no sugar. And it was transformative. I was in keto, obviously, just by default. So cut out rice, cut out any beans, even certain vegetables like carrots, couldn't eat carrots.
Oh, wow.
That extreme. And when I came back here to Mexico and started bulking and started testosterone, I decided to start eating sugar again. But I have such a uncertain relationship with it. And for me, the problem, like I'll have like a cheat meal. I'm really getting honed in on like having a cheat meal, not a cheat day or a cheat weekend.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. My problem though is whenever I eat sugar, I get acne and it pisses me off. I hate it. Like I get it all around the chin and I'm just like, dude, like, and when I wasn't eating sugar, I just, no acne scars. And now it's just like, I have a face full of like, you can't see it because the camera does a good job at like hiding it, but thank you, Apple. What are your thoughts? Like, why does that happen? Like, what is that all about?
So the reason why people get acne from sugar and stuff is because it's just processed. It's just fats and then your hormones, depending on where you're at genetically with hormones. Some people just are genetically in a bad spot to get acne overall.
Okay.
So it just enhances the process of it. So, I mean, back when I was in middle school and I ate more processed junk food with fats and sugars, I had bad acne because of that. So I wouldn't say it's a genetic issue. It's just because it's just junk and then your body reacts to it. And some people react to it just by swelling up with acne.
Okay. So, for now, for yourself though, do you like if you eat sugar for a day or for a meal and you stick to that, just the meal, not like the weekend?
Yeah.
Do you find that you don't break out or anything and you're pretty good?
Yeah, I don't break out. I also do take care of my skin, so I have acne and stuff. But I don't have any I've never had like really bad acne issues alone, so
Okay.
I don't deal with acne much, if that makes sense, genetically.
Okay. Nice, huge. Yeah, if you can
Yeah.
create a product and sell it, man,
Right,
make a lot of
right.
money. That's the secret. Very cool. So, awesome, dude. So you're 3 weeks out. You're getting ready for your off season. It sounds like.
Mhm.
Now, we wanted to talk a little bit too about the food addiction part. So it sounds like that
Mhm.
is no longer an issue because you're very
Yep.
disciplined, you're regimented.
Mhm.
But at one point, you did have that problem. So I imagine on your first show,
Mhm.
maybe you didn't do some of these habits that you're doing now after the show.
Exactly, I didn't.
Okay.
So after the show, I was like, my coach. So I didn't get depleted enough to do a full rebound, but my coach was like, "We're still going to do a rebound." And I was like, "Okay." So I had a rebound diet, but I had a bunch of stress in my life, and I was like, "Screw it! I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do the rebound." And then I got a job, like working for Amazon delivery, and they gave out free snacks. So it literally started from just free snacks, and I'm like,
Oh,
this
no.
tastes so much better. And then
Oh, yeah.
people at their houses would leave a cooler with snacks. So I ended up
Yep.
spending more time snacking. My problem was I would eat all my meals in a calorie surplus plus the junk food. So
Okay.
I was eating so much food because I had the mindset of you got to eat big to get big, but you
Okay.
need to eat smart to get big.
Okay.
So, because like I thought that eating the junk food would help gain size. It does, but it's not good size.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Was it mostly fat then? It just became fat?
it was fat and water, and because in
Okay.
my mind, as an extremist, I'm like, well, I just want to do anything it takes to get big, and I thought that
Yeah.
eating junk would, and because like I have a fast metabolism, but there's limits. Everybody can still get fat no matter how fast your metabolism is. I don't care who you are. But my mindset is I never get fat, and that made it worse because I kept pushing harder. So
okay.
it just put me in a spiral, and it's just snacking was the enemy for sure.
Gotcha.
So,
And I take it then it was affecting your mental health. Like that was probably maybe the big noticeable thing.
it was because on Instagram I was put like my persona is like I'm a bodybuilder, like I'm perfect. I don't ever mess up. So then I made myself not confident within myself because I wasn't truly being a bodybuilder. I was a bodybuilder, but not being a disciplined bodybuilder.
You're a freaking poser, man.
Yeah,
Right? Poser guys.
Yeah, poser 100%.
Yeah. Actually, though, because you are posing, so I guess
Right.
that
Yeah.
have double meaning. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And a quick question: were you doing flex, or were you doing like with the actual Amazon like station? Were you doing the trucks?
I was doing the vans, so actual
Okay.
Amazon. So I worked for the company. Yep.
Nice. I did Amazon flex.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and then my brother right now does the Amazon trucking. He does like dude, it's a sick gig. I mean,
I didn't mind it. Actually, I liked
Yeah.
it because once I got disciplined with the diet after the binging, I put on size plus staying in shape because you're getting over 20,000 steps. And the only thing I didn't like about it was since I'm trying to be a bodybuilder, my recovery was horrible. Like after work, it'd be hot, sunny days. I'd be beat up, go to the gym, get beat up. I burnt out way too quickly. And I'm like, that's long term. This isn't going to work. So it's not a bad gig. It's whatsoever. I thought it was a cool job. It just wasn't right for me.
Gotcha. Yep. And obviously, like on this channel too, we teach like you get sober and you want to. I think Amazon and stuff is a good stepping stone for a lot of folks.
Yes.
I don't think for you or it was like what we wanted to.
No, definitely not. No.
Maybe days I'm like, oh man, this kind of blows. So
yes,
but it's good. It's good money. It's fast money. If you do the flex, which means you just drive around in your car and you could do like Whole Foods and stuff, you'll get huge tips. Like I could make over $250 in a day, and it was just like you get that money like in 2 days or whatever. So instant cash.
Yeah.
It's not good for money addiction, but that's
that's
another topic.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's really cool. Sweet. So where were we here? So we're coming back. Let's dive into then that like bulking for skinny guys, because
yes. Okay. Perfect.
I'm stuck, man. Like I'm like, how do you do it? Because the fact that we're the same height,
Yes.
I still don't believe that. I think you're lying. I think you're like 6'4", and you're 212 pounds of muscle. Like what the hell?
I will say this, when I've helped people out, because I'm just gonna say this, I'm still in the early phases of coaching, so I'm not gonna stand here and say I'm you know what I'm saying. But from
Respect.
what I've done with people that to help them out is I always start them in a maintenance going into a deficit, because just like a show prep, the best gains is after a show when your body needs the food, wants to absorb it, because your insulin sensitivity is high. Your body's a machine. So I would say put yourself in a deficit for at least 12 weeks. If just hold that 10 to 12 weeks. And then once you get depleted, that's when you slowly start ramping it up. Because if you just go straight into a bulk, you're going to be stagnant, because your body is like, what the hell? I don't need this. So you want to start off with your body in a state of, like, I call it like a sponge. So that is, and that's also the quickest way to gain size, but it's the most realistic, because if you start off with 6,000 calories, you're going to be like, screw this. I don't want to ever do this again.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah, we were doing like 6K calories. I'm like, I can't, like, this is a job, and I want to throw up all the time. Like,
yes. So you gotta work up to it. It takes time.
Okay.
So work up to it.
Well, that's good to know. Yeah, I think I can just look back in those last few months. I've been just doing it naturally. So I started doing like a fasting again, and I was like not eating a lot. I wouldn't eat till 4, but then naturally my body's just like, all right, it's time to start eating a lot more. So it's kind of been going. What are your thoughts on intermittent fasting then?
I think it has its place. I don't recommend it for most people, because that's how eating disorders happen. However, if you have stomach distension problems, digestive issues, like your body's just running to the ground, I would put fasting in place, but don't ever do it. I don't believe in sustaining that, in my personal opinion.
Wow. Interesting. And I imagine then too, like going off what you just said, what I'm doing now is like I'll like have a day where I eat breakfast, and then the next day I'll do a fast, and then it's like almost like yo-yoing that. Does that like, after hearing you say it, now to me it doesn't sound very healthy. Like maybe like if you're in a bulk, be eating like in the morning too.
Yeah, so I believe in consistency, and I think I now if you want to wake up and you don't want to eat for the first 2 hours, that's perfectly fine. I do the same thing, because I like to let my body wake up. That's fine. I think fasting gets very unhealthy very quickly, just because you're starving yourself, and when you put yourself in a fasting state and you don't eat for long periods of time, when you eat food and you can't control it, you're going to just eat everything in sight. So that's why I say you can't sustain it.
Yeah, 100%, bro, man. Like, enough said. Like, clip that. That's all we got to say. 100%. Jaron says, I like the term fluffy. I've always called it slop. Yeah. I like fluffy, but that's a little nicer.
Fluffy is just, it's funny. I just like calling it that.
Yeah, it's cute. Girls probably will like giggle, right? If
you're like a teddy bear.
She's like, I'm on my slop phase. They're gonna be like, what?
No, I'm like, girl, I'm in my fluffy phase.
Like, oh, more to cuddle with.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Do you find, kind of a little going off topic, but on topic, do you find that women like you better when you are shred house or when you're a little more fluffy?
Well, based on compliment wise, they like it when I'm shredded more, just because it's honestly, when I'm contest prep, they like that a lot better than fluffy. So
damn it. I was like, please say fluffy.
I will say though, I feel like it's because it's society, but girls, a lot of them are like the dad bod apparently. So maybe it just depends on the person. But for most girls, I've noticed it's mainly being shredded to an extent. But yeah, I haven't had issues with the fluffy part though, because to them it still looks like I'm in shape. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure your fluffy is like most people's like
exactly. Yeah.
Guy, oh, he's gross. He's so fluffy. He only has 7-pack instead of 8-pack. What a loser.
Well, and I'll say this is something I've also noticed too, is most girls don't really care about physiques. Like one thing I've noticed is it's mainly the face, like your face features, what I've noticed. Like most girls
100%.
I've talked to, they don't really care about the physique, like to an extent, but like they don't care about, like, if you have a 6-pack, cool. They don't really care about how good your physique looks. It's mainly about like facial features, I've noticed.
Okay. Dude, I'm so glad you said that, because that has actually been something that I've learned too, as I've gotten more into dating, is like, no one's ever really said like they don't like gush over your body. Like, I think maybe, oh my God, like they're not like, oh, they like pass out when you take your shirt.
Yeah, right. It's
And
50-50. I'll say it's a good 50-50 ratio.
Yeah. And there's been plenty of times too where I've been like a little fluffy and like they don't notice. Like they're just they still feel your abs. Like they I don't think they care. But I do agree with you that the face is really important. Like,
yes.
And that's why for me, like the sugar has been so difficult, because if I have sugar for a couple of days, like my face gets very bloated and I look
right.
And then when I'm off the sugar, I get that leaner face. I get the the line starts to come back in.
Right.
But I think, going off what we talked about, like, hey, just having a cheat meal instead of a cheat weekend is going to maybe prevent some of that.
Most definitely. And I don't use sugar daily. So I use artificial sweetening, like sugar-free stuff. And when I get my sugar, it's from food sources. So it's not like direct sugar. It's like dextrose carbs for my intra workout, or post workout in the off season. I'll have like cocoa pebbles type sugar. So it's not like direct sugar. It's from food sources.
Right. Yeah, you're not just taking lines of sugar.
No. Exactly.
We are in Mexico, so that is quite fitting. But
for sure.
Okay, that makes sense. Do you prefer like, so you'll do like, cocoa, because cocoa pebbles obviously have sugar in them.
Yeah.
Like, do you do like donuts? Like, what's your favorite? I gotta ask, what's your favorite cheat food?
So if we're talking about dessert, I love cheesecake. Cheesecake. So I'm a savory sweets kind of guy. So when I talk about sweets, it's like savory, like chocolate, like ice cream. Like, it's not like a citrusy sweet gummy worms type candy. Like, I want something that's like wholesome type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Cookie? Are you a cookie donut guy or more?
Yeah, I like cookies and donuts. But mainly cookies and cheesecake. Those two are like, I love those. Those are my two favorites.
Oh, respect. We have a cookie spot here in Mexico that's just amazing, like thick, like heavy cookies. So we're gonna get some today for sure.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. And cheesecake's so good. What's your thought on cheese then? Like dairy and lactose and stuff.
I personally don't like the use of dairy and cheese, especially when I use it. I feel lethargic. I feel bloated.
Totally
gassy. So I don't use any dairy personally, and I don't when I give people advice, I tell them to stay away from it. So
Same, bro.
Yes.
Like, we're not meant as humans to consume dairy. If you guys didn't know that, we're basically, everyone's like low key lactose intolerant. You just build up that tolerance. I think that could be the cause of acne too. Maybe more than the sugar, even, is just the dairy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
because the fats. It's the fats, man. The fats translate to most acne. So when I first started, like I said, I paid attention to the 70s. Back in the 70s, they ate a lot of dairy because they thought that it's a high protein source, but they didn't have the science and the technology we have to realize that it's actually horrible for you. Yeah. So that's why if you look in the 70s, they're softer. It's a different look than now, because now, so Mr. Olympia back in 1970s, right? They looked good, but they weren't conditioned like they are now. So now they cut out pretty much all dairy and is shredded, like dry. Back then it was a soft, more polished look because of the dairy, because of the diet.
Totally. Like, yeah, you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's not like shredded.
No.
He's just huge. Yeah.
He's big and full.
Full. That's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's fascinating, man. Holy shit. Dairy. What a God, I don't know about you, but growing up, did you drink the fat-free skim milk?
So here's what's funny. At my mom's, yes, we had the
Yes.
fat milk, and then at my dad's, we had whole milk.
Which is way better for you.
I love
way better.
I love whole milk. Whenever I have some cheap meals and I want to include like a cookie, I'll use whole milk because it's just
nice.
better.
It's just better. And dude, the amount of sugar they put in the fat-free milk to like combat the fat-free, like my family, we lived on the fat-free diet. Like, so everything was like, and it's like, dude, like fat-free ice cream, fat-free.
Oh, jeez. Right. Oh man.
We'll chalk it up to unawareness of what food actually does to you, but all that stuff was just packed full of sugar. So you just get fat, but from sugar instead of
100%. And the problem with sugar too is that it doesn't fill up your body, like the hormone response that your body triggers when you're full. With sugar, it takes so much more to reach that point, which is why we have an obesity epidemic, which is why we have health problems, is because when you eat sugary foods. So ultra processed food is McDonald's, it's pre-digestive food because it's so heavily processed. You can eat like 3,000 calories and still be hungry.
Right.
And that's a huge problem. Like, on the movie WALL-E, when they were drinking out of the cups.
The Rascals.
The movie WALL-E, like it's a Disney movie.
When they're all in the Rascals, like
yes, yep.
They're
drinking out of cups. That's basically what we're doing right now with fast food. You're eating a bunch of calories in a small amount of food because it's so processed. So with that being said, your body doesn't know how to respond to that because it's like, am I full? Am I not full? And that's why we have overeating problems. And that's why I say, you stick to a whole foods diet. You eat 6,000 calories of whole food. That's hard because it's so dense.
Bro, 100. What? So it's because of the density. That's what makes it so hard. Because we'll cook some like curry and like get like ground beef that's like 99% lean.
Yep.
And like you have a bowl or two and you're just stuffed.
Exactly. That, and another thing too, real quick, for people that are struggling with like overeating and stuff, just take 2 chicken breasts. Take 20 chicken breasts, sit there and try to eat as much as you can. Once you get past 2, you'll be full. So if you're gonna overeat, try overeating on chicken. Seriously, that's a real thing.
Pro tip. Okay. Damn. Oh, God,
because after a couple pieces of chicken, you're like, I'm full.
Yeah.
So and that's not much calories, a couple chicken breasts. And even if you overdo it, it's still not. It's better overdoing it on that than on sugar. So
totally. And guys, remember, Zach said chicken breast, not breaded chicken breast.
No, plain chicken breast.
Plain chicken breast. Throw some sea salt on that puppy, but no KFC out here.
No KFC. No
KFC.
Please, no.
Someone's gonna be like, I tried Zach's chicken breast diet and I got way fatter.
See, this is why I have to be careful with what I say, because some people would actually eat KFC. I'm like,
right.
Oh.
Do you go to KFC? No, Popeyes. It's okay, bro. you get
even better.
Even better. Yep. That's such a good point, man. For the overeating. I've noticed that too. Like whenever I get full, I don't want to like have dessert. If I'm ever craving dessert, I'll eat like some lean protein, and I don't want the dessert anymore.
Yes, like exactly.
I'm like, exactly. Cool. Part of my heart's disappointed, but my body and my mind.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that I always say too is when you're going into a bulk, you want to go into it with being clean first. So in a deficit, that creates the mindset, the mentality of like, I'm going to be very strict. So then when you start bulking, you just increase the healthy foods, and then you're like, have the same mentality, treat it as if you're cutting, but you're bulking, and then only eat clean foods. So that way, when you get your one cheat meal, you're satisfied easily because you're so used to eating plain food. And it's like I said, man, that's the best approach in my opinion. It's worked for me and it's worked for a lot of other people. So,
I mean, it's when you get down to it, like I've studied so much on this stuff, and it's just like, you just got to find what works and just stick to it.
Yes.
Like if
100%.
10 people are telling you, like, that's why like support groups for like recovery are so good. It's like people are like, oh no, this doesn't work for me. It's like, well, it's worked for like so many hundreds and thousands of millions of people. Like
Yes.
maybe it's you, man.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's also having a conversation with yourself too. It's like, what can I do realistically to achieve this goal? What do I need to do? Not what's worked for him. What do I need to do?
Okay.
So,
Yep. I love that, dude. Well, dude, hell yeah. So we got a question here we're going to dive into. What
Okay.
I'll say, Jack, I would love to do a follow-up podcast where we can talk a little bit more about food addiction, like kind of go into the psychology behind it.
Okay.
I wonder for you, and I can share on the podcast, like for myself, like I think a lot of it comes from trauma, and like maybe, you know, when I said like I even thought about it when I said I'll eat the chicken breast and I won't want dessert, but my heart and my heart will be sad, and it's because food was a way for me to feel loved.
Yes, 100%, 100%. It all stems from trauma, unfortunately, but it's a real thing. It's just like, because food is another drug. It really is, because it still releases dopamine. So therefore, it can be an addiction and it can be a drug. So it's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
I will say that.
Absolutely. Cool. That I'm excited for that pocket. And maybe Jaron, if you want to come on for that too, and maybe we can bring on Andy. Andy, right? Andy Hull. Have you been talking to him?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, we'll chat a little bit about that after. We have a couple questions from Henry Limpet. Haven't seen you before, man, but just want to say thanks for coming to the channel, and it's nice to meet you. We'll dive into these here. Should you work out until you're sore or leave some gas in the tank?
Okay, so that's a great question. I will say I don't believe in leaving gas in the tank if you want to optimize muscle building. So the best way to build muscle is progressive overload. So each week I'm progressively adding more weight to the bar or whatever, if you want to make sense.
Okay.
Right now I'm doing a low volume type training where I only have one working set to absolute failure. So so I'm not as sore after the gym, but the reason why I'm growing is because the weight is increasing each week, which grows muscle. So that's a hard question to answer. I think you should train to your best ability. I wouldn't leave any gas in the tank though, as a short answer.
And he said, now what are your thoughts on like low rep or no high rep, low, whatever, the opposite of what you're doing?
Yeah, I think that has its place. I used to train like that, but if you want to put mass on, that's not the way to go.
Because you want to train heavy.
Yeah, what's that?
You want to train heavy.
Yeah, you want to train heavy because that's what builds strong, dense muscle. So you can still train hypertrophy, but like I said, if you want to maximize muscle building, heavy weights is the way to go.
Wow. Well, I appreciate that, man. I've been doing hypertrophy for so long now, and it's like it's fun because you just get to like crank out at like 15 reps. But I think I'm going to switch that. Maybe that could be why I'm like not putting on the mass I want.
Yeah, because heavy weights is still intense by all means. Like it's still hard, like because it's a different version of hypertrophy. So instead of doing high reps with light weight, you're doing as much reps as you can with the heavy weight.
Okay.
So instead of so let's just say I'm doing a working set of 12 reps, but I'm having heavy weight. I'm barely making it to 12, which causes muscle failure. That builds muscle, but it builds dense muscle because you're applying more load to the bar.
Okay. Now the fear on that, like the kind of the talk that like it's not a good idea, is because you could be more prone to injury doing the heavy.
You can. So it's just like going in a calorie deficit up to a high bulk. You start low with good form and you slowly, progressively. So it's a long process, you know? But you start
I laugh because that's such an obvious answer.
You're good. You're good. Like you start off small, light, perfect the form, and then just slowly increase it and keep the form. The second you lose form, you don't progress in weight, obviously.
Okay.
So
you
still want to be smart about it.
Gotcha. Fair. Yeah. I'm gonna go for a double PR. This.
You want to build up to it, of course.
Yeah. Dude, there's some scary vids at the gym, man. Like people squatting, it's too much, and it just like rips their shoulder out. Have you seen those? Like
Yes, too many. I've seen those stuff in
oh,
person, man. It's not good.
fuck, dude.
It's
Oh,
horrible. It's
yeah.
scary.
And would you say that is bad form, too much weight? Is that
Yes,
an example
yes,
of that? Okay.
easy. And you didn't warm up. You didn't. You know, like when I have that one all out set, I still have 2-3 other sets of warm ups. Like
Okay.
I prime my body to get ready for that one heavy load. So,
Okay.
and that could be a whole nother podcast, but that's just the breakdown of it. So,
Okay.
mhm.
So you want to go heavy? Yeah, with those, that's some scary shit, bro. Don't want that happening.
No.
You
Yes.
know that guy? He's like really big now on YouTube. Like he doesn't do any thumbnails. It's just him lifting.
Sam
Curly
Sulek.
hair. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
What's up with that, dude? Oh, he's like fucking
Yeah.
animal.
He's an animal. So it's hard to say because he's a gym bro, like a very like bro kind of guy. He's a different specimen though. If you watch what he does with diet and even training, most people could never do that because of his genetics. I don't care what anybody says. He can get away with eating more processed food if it fits your macros because he's just a freak. Like he's a freak.
Yeah.
He's 21 years old and he has more dense muscle than most older guys. So it's genetics. He trains to absolute failure in all his sets. So he's just a different animal. Like that's how I used to train, but obviously he's I would be careful on watching him. Watch him for entertainment only. Don't do what he does because he's a different breed.
Gotcha.
It's different. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's very important. Yeah, if you guys don't know, look him up. Sam Sulek. I think the first fit I saw of him, he's like, close leg squatting. He's got like 5 plates on each side, and he's doing it for like 18 reps. I'm just like, and he's going like ass to ground.
But you also have to remember he has an athletic background. He's worked his way up. Like if you look at these big dudes like Ronnie Coleman, for instance, like yes, those guys lift heavy, but they all started very, very small and worked their way up. So it's and people get that confused. They think that I'm just going to throw 5 plates on and then do it. Your body hasn't adapted to it yet. So take your time.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, in no way was I like, okay, one day I got to get this. Like, I'll throw 5 10s on and call it 5 plates, but 5 plate we are.
Right.
Dude, right. That's so much weight. Like, I'm not super strong either. Like, I hit 225 once on bench, and my squats like maybe 185. I just don't have a lot of strength. It really does come down to genetics. I think that is fascinating too. How like just the difference in strength level. I had a buddy in high school. We were about the same weight. We like always competed on who weighed more. Right. Skinny guy, Mexican dude, but athletic as hell. And he could squat like easily like 250 and like rep it out. And I'm just like, like how? Same size, 145, but strong as hell.
I will say you could actually, I mean, if you don't have the best genetics, you can still build a good frame for training too. But like I said, you have to like dedicate training specifically towards that, and you have to start small and work your way up. Yeah. So anybody can really become stronger. Some people might have to take longer than others, but it's a grind by no means. It takes a while.
It's a hell of a grind, bro. I'm 29. I started at 14. I've been at it 15 years, and I think I have good shape, so I'm proud. I'm proud of it. Well, and what's good is girls don't like you by how much you can lift, which is
no, they don't care. They don't care.
So we got that lucky. If they were like, okay, well, I only imagine on like Tinder profiles where it's like I only date bench max 350.
Right? No, it's funny because so many guys at the gym will try to impress girls by lifting heavy, and I'm like, bro, she doesn't care. Like
she doesn't know what that means.
Just go say hi.
Yeah.
Just go say hi.
Just say hi.
That's all you gotta do.
Yeah. The third podcast we'll have there is in gym dating. So we have one more question from Henry Limpet, and then I have a question for you on testosterone and stuff, and then we can call it a show. So Henry Limpet, how often should you do cheat meals? We did cover this a little bit, but if you want to go over it again.
So I would only do cheat meals. I'd be very, very careful. Most people should only do once a week, but it depends on your goals, right? So if it's so dependent. Like if you're trying to get in a calorie deficit, I wouldn't really want to do cheat meals. But if you're bulking, I'd say 1 to 2 cheat meals a week.
Okay.
It's just and it depends on what your cheat meals are, right? Like if your cheat meals is going to be pizza, then I wouldn't, you know what I mean? So I would stick with still clean foods. Like I do sushi for my cheat meals. So it's not really a cheat. It's just different. So, and that motivates me to stay on plan. So when I say cheat meals, it's still clean, but it's off plan. That's why it's called a cheat.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you don't do like straight like McDonald's, like Carl's Jr.
No, not anymore.
Okay.
People use cheat meals as an excuse to, as a cope or an excuse because like, let's just say you're in a calorie deficit and you eat a whole pizza and then you're like, well, it was a cheat meal. I'm like, well, it depends on like, it depends on your goals. Like if you want to look good and stay healthy, then have a cheat meal that's not so unhealthy.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, we're all going to sushi today, so
there
we're
you
gonna
go.
have an epic cheat meal and cookies. So I'm excited for the day.
Perfect. Yeah.
Cookies fire.
Exactly.
Awesome, man. Well, last question for you before we wrap. This has been a great show, by the way. And
yeah, I appreciate that. Mm-hmm.
Just appreciate all your knowledge and your wisdom. Mm-hmm. I think you're gonna have a great career in this.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anytime, man. What are your thoughts on testosterone, TRT, and obviously we're not going to talk about roids today, but like actually just straight up testosterone?
Okay, so yeah, this is a subject that I have an opinion on it, which I just don't talk about it too much because of a younger following and whatnot. Okay. But for this audience, I will say I think TRT is great. I think but it depends, right? Like if your blood work comes back and your testosterone is low and you're age 30 or even in your 20s, like if your testosterone is unhealthy, then go on TRT. I think it's still safe because a TRT dose is so little. Like it's not like a full pro bodybuilder's cycle, right? Like there's less room for error. So I think TRT is great. Now, if you're 16 and you're young, don't, unless you absolutely need to, because that's the side that I don't like. The reason why I don't like talking about too much is because so many 17-year-olds will be like, "Oh, I'm going to hop on TRT because I want to get big," and I'm like, "That's not what it was meant for." Like, TRT is like a supplement if you need it, but so it has its pros and cons. I say it has a place. It has its place.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And when you said like a regular dose, like how much is that for you? Like in your mind, like
in my mind,
like
how many milligrams? Typically, I would say around 100, like no more than 200 milligrams.
Okay,
like a week. That's what I've seen. Yeah, just around that. Anything more than that's considered like a cycle. So
okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
that's what Jaron said too. Like about that range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I first started like I started when I came to Mexico, so about 6 months ago, we went right to 250. And it was because I've never done it before, and it was a lot for sure.
Yeah.
And then after a few months, back down. But the mistake I did is I stayed on it for about 5 months, and about month 4, I started to get acne because I think my body was getting triggered that I was going through puberty again.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Isn't that crazy? Mm-hmm. I was like, I never had back acne my whole life. All of a sudden, I was just getting tons of back acne. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What's going on here? I'm like, is it the food? Is it the water quality? Like we changed our soap for laundry. And then I stopped seeing it all went away. I'm like, oh, okay.
And like I said, it's all genetic based too. Some people, their genetics can't handle extra hormones, or like the hormones. So it's like I said, TRT's okay. But it's all personal dependent. So everyone's going to have to like see if it works for them or not. I will say the average male nowadays, unfortunately, needs TRT if you look at the average statistics. But if you're a young teen or like you're a young adult and you're skinny fat, just train and eat good and you'll be fine. But I think it is becoming too mainstream to the point where people think that they just need to hop right on it and it's like a recreational drug. And I don't know. That's kind of mixed emotions there.
It sounds dangerous. I think
It's
you're absolutely right. Because if you start
yeah.
it too young, you can fuck up your whole system forever for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's just it's a dangerous recreational drug. Like you have weed, and then people treat TRT as weed, bro. It's like, dude, that's hormones. Like
So-
hormones, like you mess with hormones the wrong way, you can screw your whole life. So,
oh yes.
like, because once you start administering testosterone in your body, your natural testosterone shuts down, and there's all
Right.
these young kids that they don't understand that. And they're like, I'm on this, I'm on that. And I'm like, bro, you just shut your body down. So now when you come off of it completely,
Yeah.
you're fucked. And that's why I say, like, you need to, I'm not certified. I'm not like certified with hormones or anything, but from what I've done with research, what I've had, like, seen, you just got to be careful with it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
hormones. So
100%. Yeah, look at it for the truth of what it is.
mhm.
Have you seen the new South Park?
I
They
haven't.
just came out. Okay, they just came out with a new one, and like they're just the weight loss thing. It's like
Yeah.
Lorenzo or so, not no, like it's a but the show is like they're using it as drugs and they're getting high off like. It's also
I do like South Park though. That's like it's
nice,
funny.
nice.
Yeah,
So funny, dude.
yeah.
We watched it the other night. It was so hilarious, and they're just like, they're just shredded. Anyway, you got to watch it, guys. Watch it if you're out there.
Oh, I definitely will.
Yeah, hell yep. That for the test thing, yeah, that was.
Mhm.
I'm back on it now, so I stopped again. I stopped. I did a little
Mhm.
bit of the HCG to restart everything, but after having done it once, I can see just a huge difference. Like I was getting emotional again, and I had been like that
Mhm.
my whole life, but now that I had like that break
Yeah.
from the T dose, I was like, oh, like everything was a little more irritable. I was like a little more irritable. I'm like, I kind
Yep.
of feel like a woman.
Yeah. Well,
Crazy. And so, oh god,
yeah, sorry, because estrogen too. It's like even though TRT is such a low dose, some people it affects them like a cycle. Like some people they shouldn't be taking anything because they react to it so bad. So it depends on your body. It depends on genetics. It's so individual. So it's not a
yeah.
one size fits all.
Right. And
Mhm.
that's really important, guys. Like if you're thinking
Yes.
about doing it, like really get somebody that you can trust that can walk you through the process, maybe get your blood work done. I know like
Yes.
more plates, more dates talks about it. And he has like a
Mhm.
thing you can send your bloods into. Huberman has a really good, he talks a lot about it too.
Mhm.
And so I'm back on it now. I started about a little over a week ago and I feel instantly better. I'm only
Yeah.
taking 60 to 80 milligrams. I'm playing around with it, but I'm not going to do like the 100, 200 like I
Right.
was before. And it's just like, dude, like the edge is gone.
Yeah, you found your
I'm
sweet
just
spot.
yeah, you're right.
Heck
I
yeah,
never,
man.
but I now know because of this process that in 3 months, I'm going to stop again and then go on like a 2 month cycle of the, restarting the testosterone naturally and then go back on it. So it's
Yeah.
really, you don't want to do it straight. I think. What are your thoughts on that? Like,
I will say at a TRT dose, like I said, there's less air and there's not much health impact. So I
okay,
mean, you can do TRT for fun and you'll be okay. Like it's not going
okay.
to kill you.
Ah, okay.
I just tell people you need to be careful just because it's still hormones. But TRTs is like the gray area, and then anything
Okay.
above that's like you're playing with fire. So,
Mhm.
but TRT is pretty much like an entry level for most people on like how is this going to affect me? It's just
Okay.
like recreational is like we like some people their first time they overdo it, and then
Yeah.
what you want to do is gradually increase, you know what I'm saying? It's just that's the analogy I'm trying to think of, but that's just me,
I love
bro.
how you're like telling people like how to properly like use weed. that's,
Yeah, right.
that's hilarious.
Well, of course, it's like anything though. You know what I mean? You just ease into it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I joke because this is like my main coaching is like quitting weed. So it's
Yeah, I know. I
guys,
apologize,
if you
but
want to use weed properly, I think it's so funny. And people are smart enough to get it. But yeah,
oh yeah,
100%.
for
Like
sure.
people get paranoid as well as fuck.
Yeah,
Otherwise. So Henry, yeah, you're welcome, man.
yeah,
Appreciate
for
you tuning
sure.
in, bro. And then by the way, Zach, thanks, Sharon. This is the drugs that was in the South Park episode. And Ozempic. Like these are the two.
Oh, those are the two. Oh, jeez.
So they're like just like shooting themselves and like
They're just shooting
raining
themselves up with it.
it. Yeah. So funny, dude.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
okay, so where are we gonna go here? So yeah, guys, if I think this is a good place to wrap.
Mhm.
Wanted to say everyone who tuned in, thank you for tuning in. This has been a great episode. I really enjoyed it, man. This is a great way to I learned so much. Um, Zach, where can people find you? And if like people want to start working with you, what's that process for yourself?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Zachary Aldrich, Aldrich with two H's, and then on YouTube it's Aldrich Essentials. Just shoot me a message on Instagram and let's just have a conversation. It doesn't have to be anything.
Yeah,
Just a conversation. Like let me know where you're at in your journey, and let's see what I can do to help you.
cool, bro. Love it, dude.
Yeah,
And all your stuff, guys, all Zach's stuff will be linked in the description. Now that I know you have a YouTube channel, I'll link
yep,
your YouTube channel as well to this. Um,
awesome.
and then we just got a new let me see here. Let me get it up. Yeah, we got it. Oh, come on, baby. Anyway, we got a new thumbnail that I made like during the show. Like I took
Nice.
Let me just find. Yeah, I'll just show the entire screen here.
Mhm.
Yeah, here we go, guys. So this is a new one.
Awesome.
Bodybuilding the
Badass.
right way, without food
Yeah.
addiction. So
Yes. Love
so
it.
a little more fitting to people are gonna be like, oh, I want to learn about my brain health, and this is gonna be us talking about bodybuilding.
Man,
Like,
I'm at heart, I'm a meathead. So
nice. Oh yeah, bro. Love it. Love it.
Oh yeah.
So cool, guys. Yeah, definitely check out Zach's stuff. I think if you do need coaching on that front, I think he'd be a great resource. For myself, if you do need help quitting marijuana, that's what I'm here for. You can schedule a consult with me down below. $25. We'll hop on a 40-minute call and find out where you are in your journey and how we can get you clean as fast as possible. I want to get you off quickly. I don't want to be like your life coach for like 10 years. I want you in and out. Usually it takes people about 2 weeks to feel real, like to really have it be like no longer a part of your life. So literally like 2 weeks, guys, and you'll be feeling like a completely different person. There's going to be stuff to deal with. And that's why we like kind of go for at least a month to start working on some of that other stuff. But after that, we really don't talk about weed anymore. Like we'll have our calls, Zach, and on like week 3, we're talking about business and like we don't,
Right. Good. No,
you
that's
just
good
talk about cool.
stuff.
Yeah, because you want to get
Yeah.
it out as soon as possible, right?
I
And
will
start moving
say,
on.
I will say, there's nothing better than taking out a bad habit and throwing in a better habit with it, like replacing the
Amen,
two.
brother. Yeah,
Because
100.
the best drug is reaching your goals.
Oh,
If that makes sense, that's the best drug.
It's the best drug. You will get higher. The high is so pure too.
I mean, I'm still in pursuit of my journey, but I'm enjoying it because it's just better.
So much fun. You wake up each morning happy. You go to bed happy. You sleep like a baby. It's just you don't have
a purpose,
man. People want to work with you. Like it just everything just kind of branches out from that decision 100%. To get rid of those bad habits, man. So I think it's a great place to end. Zach, if you can hang on for a couple minutes after, we'll debrief. And with that, guys, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one and talk to you soon.